In this video I want to show you how to make practice tracks using loops in GarageBand. Okay, so for simplicity's sake I've already set up a basic loop here, and I made this loop in a different video, so I'm not going to go through the whole process again of selecting a drum track and recording and all that. So I have a basic loop here. Okay, it's in the key of E minor. This is just an 8-bar loop that goes round and round and round. And so what I want to do is I want to make an actual practice track, like an MP3 or in this case an M4A Apple format file that maybe a guitar student can use, or I could use, or someone could use on their iPod or their iPhone or their computer or something. So it's not a GarageBand file, but rather it's an actual song file. So what we want to do is we want to lengthen this loop to what, 2 or 3, maybe 4 minutes. So what you want to do is you have this basic 8-bar loop. We're going to go here, and you have section A is 8 bars. We're going to duplicate that section as many times as we want, and you can keep going here. Let's say we're going to do it this many times. Okay, let's say we're going to do 64 bars. Okay, so what will happen when we export this is it will not be 8 bars, but it'll be 2, 3, maybe 4 minutes. Not sure how long exactly, but it'll be enough to make a good, decent practice track. Okay, so we can export this as a file if we want to. Now, one thing that you do want to have on here is the fade out at the end. You don't have to, but what that does is at the very end of the track, it'll simply fade out. I think it's a nice, it just makes a nice ending to a practice track, I think. Not totally necessary, but just adds a little polish or professionalism to it, possibly. Okay, so what you can do here is you can go back to My Song. So this is your practice track, and you can edit this, and you can export it via mail, Facebook, YouTube, or whatever. Now let me show you something else. Let me hit done. That you can do to actually make this process much simpler and much more effective for, say, guitar students or for anybody who wants to practice maybe their strum patterns or their major or pentatonic scales, minor scales, whatever they want to do with it. Okay, I've already set up this exact same loop with several tracks here, and what I've done is I've recorded the same chord progression in different keys. So for example, you have one key here. Don't know if you can hear that. Okay, that's one key. Go to a different key. Okay, so as you can see, those are all different keys. It's the exact same chord progression with the same drum loop, but using different keys. Okay, now what you would do to use this as when you export this, you obviously are not going to use all the guitar tracks at once. So what you would do is you have to somehow know what order these tracks are in. In this case, I have these set up with a caged guitar system, so these are in the key of C, A, G, E, D, or actually they're the relative minor keys. So you have A minor, F sharp minor, E minor, etc. Okay, that's besides the point. But what you do when you export this is you unmute the guitar track that you want to export. Okay, and you can export it just like you would any other track. You go to My Songs and Edit. Excuse me, sorry. And you can export this just like you would any other one. Okay, let's hit done. Okay, and then when you want to export it in a different key, bring up the track again. Okay, mute all the ones you don't want and unmute, let's say, the next one. Okay, and so if you go through this process 5 times, you've ended up with 5 practice tracks in different keys, but using the same drum loop. What this does is it lets students practice in different keys, their patterns, their scales, whatever you want them to practice with. So Anyway, that's how you make practice tracks using drum loops in GarageBand for the iPad. Thanks so much for watching. Hope this was helpful.